One of the things that we have discussed as the leadership of the Family History Center is that it is our assignment to make sure that all of the workers in the Family History Center have a good basics of understanding of family search and other things that members will come to the Family History Center and ask us, so that when we're in the Family History Center, we're good helps. So with that in mind, well, Diane has always worked hard to make sure that we're staffed and that she has the help that she needs. But one of the things she's done lately is ask for our help in building a list of things that every Family History Center staffer should know. And these are the same things that every family history consultant should know. Now, how many of you got this list in your emails? Pam did, Helen did, the Sparks did. Richard, did you get it?
No.
They can't hear me. I turned on.
She just asked you, John.
I know, but I don't have my phone.
Oh,
I'm seeing Richard's a yellow line around his name on my screen. Like, so Richard, if you want to say something, let me know. So what experience have we had in working in family history centers before and helping other people before? Ed and Elsie have been on a mission to teach the things that Family History Center workers should know, plus more. Helen, we don't know a lot about your background, except that you have helped your ward a lot.
I served a mission at the church headquarters, and they assigned me to work at the Family History Library for 30 months. I served there for 30 months, and then so I know a lot about family search.
Wonderful.
And also the US-Canada floors, second and third floor.
Okay.
And I got my degree in family history research through BYU Idaho.
Oh, wow.
And did a presentation a year ago at the virtual national NGS in Native American family history research. And I've been doing my own family history research as well.
Well, and Navajos have to really use the records that are that exist for them, don't you? You have to kind of approach it differently than what lots of Americans that aren't Native Americans would have to use.
Yep, that's definitely correct.
I learned a little bit about that you have to do that from Sister Sosie. She was the one that introduced me to the fact that Native American research had special tools.
Yeah, there's an article that's in the Family Search Wiki about how to find your Native American ancestors.
Oh, okay.
The US Census and the Indian Census rolls.
And our Family History Center has, although we don't have any microfilm readers for it, some of the early Indian censuses and Bureau of Indian Affairs censuses and things, but I think those are available nowadays online, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Diane has worked in our Family History Center for, I don't know if it's decades or just decade plus, but for a long time.
Decades plus.
Decade plus. John has done family history a lot and is working mostly on his wife's at present and is finding good success in Mexico and Spain. Pam knows more about research in Wisconsin or Minnesota? She's got
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, okay. And those a lot of Wisconsin people came from Northern Europe,
Norway.
Norway. Okay. Angel's family is Angel's screen says Ben Metzger. Angel's family is highly strong on LDS ancestry and immigrants to Utah as converts coming to Zion. Marilyn, I don't know anything about what your interest is in research or where you're from. Do you want to turn on your microphone and tell us a little bit about your interest in research? When you're ready, signal to us and we'll have you do that. Heather's strength in our Family History Center is computer work, Zoom work, YouTube work. What else would you say your expertise is, Heather?
Advertising.
Advertising with the computer and YouTube, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
My interest in family history began when my husband and I were called to be in charge of family history for our BYU stake when we were 6 weeks newlyweds. And I've always been interested since, although I've said that my church service tended to be split pretty much in thirds. A third of the time in Relief Society, a third of the time in Cub Scouts, and a third of the time in family history. I even was, for 1 year, Angel Metzger's husband's den mother during my Cub Scout times. There was once a time when I was working real hard in sorting out my Michael family, and I finally got a book together about this thick that I had of conclusions and documents and stories about my Michael family. I felt really strongly, I had motivated to get it done, to finish it now, and getting it all printed now. I Xeroxed it all and sent it to all of the people that had helped me. And so I finally got it, the last one mailed out on a Thursday, and on Sunday, I was called to be Relief Society president. It would have never happened if I would not have gotten it done that Thursday. So I've been very glad that I got that done before that Sunday. Whether you've reviewed this list that she sent or not, what are the main questions that you have had people ask when you've been at the Family History Center? Or do you think people need to know the most? What do you think are the very biggest clues that we need to come up with? Ed, what do people ask you the most about? Ed, what do people ask you the most? And you'll have to unmute you. So I'm asking you two things at once.
All right. I finally got it unmuted. It didn't unmute in the usual way, so I had to do something different. It's kind of like for us the other way around. We have found more success in asking people questions.
Okay.
And the questions we ask, and we like to start with the active people that show up at church all the time. And you know, it's kind of like saying, Nancy, exactly where are you in your family history and temple work? And then you got to stand there for 2 to 5 minutes to listen to their dialogue or monologue. And then the question is, okay, what is your next step? What is the next thing that you need to do? And that makes And these are people that aren't really doing a whole lot of stuff. And so it makes them think about, themselves and their purpose and so forth. And every time I ask that second question, I get a different answer. And so that helps me focus on their particular needs. And then the third question we ask is, well, how can we help? And there we're getting into the meat of the stuff. And again, every answer that I get on that is different, but it helps me to not waste a bunch of time trying to teach them stuff that they're either not ready for or they already know. And then, of course, the fourth question is, and it's a necessary one, when and where can we help? So we get an appointment set up so we can go to what their needs are. And the needs that we're finding, getting back to your original question, we're finding the needs, the most common, well, first of all, you got to get them signed in and registered with the church account. But when it comes to actual needs, we're finding, our words here with the universities, recently married people. They're asking, should we have a separate family tree on Family Search, or do we have two family trees, or or one together? How do we combine our family tree into one tree? And that is the most common question that we get. And then after you get the two trees connected, then they want to know, what are all these little colored tags on the pedigree chart, and how do we use them, and how do we move forward? And our guidance has been largely to start with yourself and get all of the information in there about yourself, even though you're still living, and then go to your parents and get all the information you can with your parents. And you start with information that is readily available at your home, and then your family, your aunts, uncles, cousins, and so forth, and then build the tree from there. And the reason we go with that route is that too often we find that a lot of other people have been working on Family Search, and the sources are quite often weak enough to cause doubt in, everybody wants to know, who are we connected to that's famous, and the connections there are kind of vague, but that seems to get them excited, but it doesn't get people to the temple. And so, on my family tree, I've got family back in the, get a load of this, 200s.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Now the question there is, I think some of it might actually be true. And so my emphasis is to get get documentations between the year 200 and the year 221. Start recently and move backwards. And basically, that's our general plan.
That would, Diane would say, you also, in such a situation, need to be teaching a little bit about descendancy research, which is
Now
when you choose.
that's the next step.
There was something else that I intended to say at the beginning that I forgot, and I'm going to interrupt the whole thing and switch topics for just 1 minute. As a temple worker, my next shift at the temple, at the City Center Temple, is June 18th. Is that soon or what? Isn't that wonderful? Then on the 20th, the temple shuts down for its semi-annual cleaning. And so then it'll be closed for 3 weeks for cleaning, but open up again in July. Isn't it wonderful to know that we have now scheduled times for our temple to be open for endowments and initiatory?
We do it. And
Nancy,
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have surgery on the 2nd of July, but I am really interested in getting my grandmother done who passed away, and I had her work ready.
Go to the website and go to LDS, go to the churchofjesuschrist.org website, and then look under temples and look under schedule an appointment and schedule your appointment soon so that you've got an appointment by the time you're recuperated.
Okay. The other question I have is, can I bring my parents as a set of the witnesses?
In the session itself?
Yes.
Or in the ceilings?
The session, my father would like to see his mother get baptized.
Oh, in the baptistry, you bet.
Okay.
The baptistry workers will be glad to accommodate you in that.
Okay.
Now, Angel, do you agree with me on that one?
I do. In fact, I got to go to the baptistry yesterday to learn how to sub for my shift coordinator next Saturday. First thing I did was hand in the recommend that expired because I hadn't switched it out because of COVID. I had got a new recommend but never put it in my wallet because I wasn't going. So check your recommend and make sure it's the correct recommend. Reminder. So they went to go get the recorder to make sure that I had a valid recommend and couldn't find him. So the temple president looked me up and I told him thank you and thank his wife because in August they'll be released and we'll get a new temple presidency. We are more than happy. There can be 16 people in your session when you make an appointment that can be baptized. You can have more to help with witnesses and confirmation. That can come.
And when we worked in the baptistry, if somebody said, could we be the witness, we'd say, please, we're glad to have you. Will you do more than just your family?
I made an appointment on June 3rd for August 20th was the first available appointment at 8:30. I'm pretty sure all appointments through August for the baptistry are already for the Provo City Center Temple booked.
So do it soon, Diane.
Well, do it soon, but also sometimes because of circumstances, somebody will cancel their appointment. So look every day to see if it says in light blue, the temple's open, but if it's a blue, dark blue, there's an appointment available.
Okay, good hit. And I'm sorry for that divergence, but I just have been excited about the fact that our temple was actually going to be open for everybody that wanted to go do an endowment session if you just maneuver the scheduling. I think that Ed brought up a very good point. That is, in our state, we have lots of newlyweds. And when they open up Family Search, their husband or wife isn't there yet. and so they have, and their husband or wife are living, so they have to create a person for their husband and wife, and if their membership record has not connected them to their parents, then they also need to make a living person, create a living person for their parents, and continue to do that until they connect to the first deceased person on their pedigree chart. And so that is something that we will frequently have people come to the Family History Center or stop us in the hall at church and ask us. So that was a very good point that Ed brought up. Something that I don't realize at my age and time in life is that just because it's been a long, slow process for me to understand Family Search and for me to understand Ancestry does not mean that the teenagers in our wards and stake, and especially the young adults, they've already got that all figured out. It is not very much of a learning process for them. But there are some basic things still that we can help them understand that they might not know before. One of those is that Family Search has two parts. It has the tree part and it has the searching part. And so when someone goes in to search for their parents, that probably wasn't what they meant to do. Probably what they meant to do was create their parents as living people so that they could establish more of their tree. But they also need to know some basics about search. However, the young adults in our neighborhood are going to know a lot more about searching than I do. The clues that I'm catching on to now are things that they have known since they were knee-high to a grasshopper. They just have done it enough that they understand it better. One of the things Diane wanted to make sure that I knew that we talked about was a little bit about the partner sites that Family Search has made partners with. So I am going to go to share screen. And if anybody wants to talk while I'm doing this, it's fine with me if you interrupt me and do this with me. It's going to take me a minute to get to Family Search. So when I open Family Search, and I can either sign in by going to tree, or I can sign in by going to sign in. And then I come over to the question mark sign. And then I come down to the Help Center. And then I come to this diagram, which means partner sites, where it has the hands holding hands. And then I go to partner access, and I get a list of the different companies that charge for family history accounts. And so this is how I find them. And each of these companies, because they like being a partner with Family Search, gives our church members a free membership. And so these are the sites: Ancestry, Find My Past, My Heritage, American Ancestors, Filet, and Jenny Annette. Now, would somebody that has used American Ancestors tell us why you use American Ancestors and why it has been a good use for you? Would one of you please speak up and tell us all why you have used American Ancestors? American Ancestors is very strong in New England. If you have long time American Ancestors, they're going to have records for you. And all of us should sometime, every now and again, go to American Ancestors and look up their list of databases and see which ones might possibly have information for us. This is a site that I would think is going to be used more by people who have already been researching for a while, as opposed to brand new researchers. Helen, would you agree with me on that one?
Yep, I would think so.
Any more comments about American Ancestors that you would make?
Are you talking to me?
Uh-huh. Because you've worked on the U.S. floor. You've really helped people more.
It's exactly like you said. It's strong in New England, ancestors that lived in the New England area.
And so that tends to be people that have been in the United States for a long time.
Yes.
Like Revolutionary War and pre-Revolutionary War, soon after.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. Okay. Now, Philae is a rather new partner. Which of you have any of you ever used Philae? I have not. It is mostly European and French ancestry. GeniaNet, it's mostly European. Find My Past is mostly, at least strong in Britain. I have one little line about early LDS ancestry, and I have found people, some of my ancestors have had sources attached that were found at Find My Past. Somebody make comments about MyHeritage.
It's an international.
Okay.
There's a lot of Jewish records in there, and other parts of the world, I would think.
I don't think we have a lot of Jewish research happening in our stakes, but one of the things that I have found, and how many of you have found this too, that MyHeritage does an excellent job of finding other people who are researching my ancestors. When I have submitted my tree to MyHeritage and told them I want notification of other people with the same people in their trees, I have been amazed at how many people they've sent me, and they claim that they're smart matches, and I think they call that something different today than they did 2 or 3 years ago, but that their smart matches technology meant that they were something like 97% of the time when they suggested a match, it really was a match. And how many of you use the MyHeritage photos for being able to colorize a photo, or even get them to move their faces?
Have you done that?
Who's done that?
Is it easy to do?
I don't think our mic's on, but people.
Nobody has tried that. I watch a knitting YouTube channel, and one time the lady Roxanne Richardson that does the YouTube knitting channel said, "Oh, I just found this on the genealogy site I use on MyHeritage, and here's a picture I have of my great grandmother knitting, and if I do this on MyHeritage, her face turns, and you can just practically see her responding to her knitting as they do this." And so that is a feature at MyHeritage that I haven't tried yet. But when you watch a picture that they have done, it can really come alive. So when we're used to seeing these very stern black and white photos of our ancestors, it really can make them look much more alive. And the fact that you can colorize a black and white photo of your ancestors, that's something fun for all of us to use.
And Nancy, we might add that when we open back up, we have purchased a scanner which will correct a lot of your old pictures, which will renew, the same thing that MyHeritage, only it doesn't do any of the jazzy things like make you smile or anything like that. But these will take old photos and basically restore them. Takes about a second. And we will have that in operation when the center opens up again. So, and if anybody has any need right now, a great need for that, I'm learning how to use it at my home, and will shortly be giving it to Nancy for her training. So,
And my son is my daughter-in-law is very anxious to get some pictures scanned before her end of the month family reunion. Now we call it high speed and we call it fancy, and it is, but it also scans them. If you don't have 6,000, you don't have to worry. If you have 3 pictures you want scanned, it will scan them beautifully. And once we're open, it will be at the Family History Center all the time. So that means that every one of us that works in the Family History Center is going to want to practice with it enough to use it. And so that's what John is doing now, is he's perfecting his ability to use it to help us when we come into the center.
It also scans the back of the picture. So if you have a lot of pictures with names, addresses, and dates, it will also include that
on the back. How wonderful.
On your record.
Well, and I think that if it corrects minor defects in the photos that we've previously have been using Photoshop or some other program to use, how nice to be able to have it do it for us. It probably does a better job than I do. So that's great. So that brings up the question, when are we going to open? Seems like they have announced an open date for the Family History Center in Salt Lake, and I don't remember what that date is, but
it's going to be July 6th.
July 6th. That's less than a month. And so our stake will determine what time. By our stake, I mean the Freedom Stake, will determine when our Family History Center opens, and it will probably be just about that same time. Don't you think? I think that's kind of what we can assume, that it's going to be rather soon to that. So that is not very far away.
Diane Rogers told me that they're looking for July to open up the Family History Center.
Yay. Yay.
Use that family.
Now, when the Family History Center opens, one of the things that we have put in place, are starting to put in place during COVID times, is our stake has acquired for us a special non-time restriction Zoom account, so that if people are afraid to come into the center, they will be able to call into the center if at a time when one of us is on that is not afraid of Zoom, and they can talk to us on Zoom, and we can share screens back and forth to help them. Although I think that very soon, just about everybody's going to feel safe about coming in person. So that's coming up. So I'm going to unshare my screen. And I think that probably one of the next things to talk about is, I know what we should do first. Sister Jones, has your husband said anything about when he thinks the Family History Center is going to open? Is that fair to corner you about that? You're on mute. You'll have to unmute so we can hear you.
No, he hasn't told me any more than it's going to open soon. Just a minute. Michael!
Well, maybe he doesn't want to be spilling the beans. Maybe it's not fair for us to even be asking.
Well, yeah, I know he's been in contact with the stake president and with Diane, and I do know that everybody's excited and wants it to happen. That's all I know.
Okay.
Unless you want me to go in the other room and
No.
just 2
No.
minutes, twist his arm.
No, we don't want him to feel cornered because he's always been in our corner and he'll make it happen as soon as he can.
Yes, he will.
Now, when it opens, unless Diane would tell us if she was here, if the things have changed, but it used to be that we were supposed to be opened 20 hours a week with published hours. So probably all of us will be asked to commit to a certain shift so that we can be open for our 20 hours. So we could kind of look forward to that starting in July, sometime in July. Okay, let's talk for a minute about the difference between Ancestry and Family Search. I always felt I was loyal to the brand and I was going to learn Family Search, and I was not very worried about Ancestry. I have learned that was too narrow of an idea and that I was limiting myself in a lot of ways. Would somebody take a turn and tell us what you love about which one, because Ancestry and Family Search are the two that work the most together in the United States. What are your favorites about one of them, and what are those favorites?
Nancy, I really like Ancestry. In fact, 9 times out of 10, I will go there before I go to Family Search, because I will usually find something with Ancestry where I don't with the other. So I took the time, typed it all in with Family Search and got nothing. And yet when I do it on Ancestry, a lot of times I find multiple areas and documents. So I'm usually not let down by Ancestry.
And are you talking about when you're searching on Ancestry?
Yes, when I'm searching for something. I'll leave that for mine, and somebody else can fill in some other things, because there's lots of things you can say nice about Ancestry.
Ancestry search engines are different, so they're going to find different things, and they have different records than Family Search, and they're very aggressive about getting new records. Family Search is also very aggressive about getting new records. I think that the fact that we can have Ancestry as a partner subscription is wonderful. And I have really enjoyed using the search part on Ancestry. One of the things I like to search on Ancestry is other people's trees.
What?
Some trees on Ancestry people have put in and made private, and some they've made public. But I like to look, and I'm amazed at how often that I find somebody else has put in a tree which they've made public, and it has my person on it. I was looking for my daughter-in-law's family the other day, and she said, I'm sure that nothing exists. And I find that 4 of her siblings have trees on Ancestry with her ancestors on it. So the fact that she thought that nobody in her family was researching their grandfather was not quite accurate. So
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Is this Richard?
Yeah. One of the nice things about Ancestry is that you can go there from Family Search when you look at hints, but also once you get into Family or Ancestry and you find a source or multiple sources, you can save those in Ancestry. And then when you compare Ancestry against Family Search, you can transfer those sources in the family tree.
Okay, so when we come to tree and we pull up somebody, and we have already gone to the point where we've synced our sources. If I want to go to Ancestry and look him up,
That's right.
that's all I had to do. And
Yeah,
there
once you
are
click on Ancestry,
search results for him.
yeah, it'll give you the results and you click on those. And if you find out that, yes, that's who you're looking for, then you save that into Ancestry. But in Ancestry, you can also go back up and click on the little icon that lets you transfer information from Ancestry back into Family Search. Plus, you can also add family from Ancestry back into Family Search. And again, the nice thing about Ancestry is people can't go in and change things.
So you have brought up a couple of important points. One of the important points that you brought up is that sources can be transferred from Ancestry to Family Search, and then you would have a record of that source under the sources for that person in Family Search, as well as having it in Ancestry. The other thing, and I'm going to kind of tell you a story about this. When Family Search was still in the formative years, I had a friend who worked at the church history, like at the church office building, and he told me, isn't it going to be nice when Family Search is all figured out? Nobody will have to keep their own database anymore. Nobody will need to use PATH. Nobody will need to use any other databases because they'll be able to put it on Family Search. And I said, no, because they'll be able to change each other's stuff on Family Search. I disagree with you. And we had a rather heated argument. I insist that I will never quit using my own private database. Now I find that I am often putting things in my Ancestry tree when I find out new information, and not being so faithful about putting it in my Ancestral Quest, which I use instead of PATH, because I can have my own tree in Ancestry that nobody can touch but me.
Yes.
And so what Richard said there is very important, that we can have our own private tree on Ancestry, and we can determine whether that's viewable by other people or whether it is not viewable by other people. And that's totally up to us. And sometimes we're going to want to have something that other people could look at, and sometimes we might want to have it more private. My husband was adopted by his stepfather. He's not too interested in having other people see anything about his birth father, and so that can be private. That does not have to be shared on Ancestry. And so that is definitely a strength of Ancestry. Now we have to then say, then what about Family Search? It is definitely a strength of Family Search that when I put somebody in Family Search, other people can look at what I put. And if they know something I don't, they can add it. And then I can follow that person so that I can see weekly, I could get an email that tells me who has added information to anybody that I'm following. And I can keep track then of what other people know that I didn't already know. The downside, of course, is that somebody can add something that's wrong, and then I have to take the steps to correct it so that it is accurate and correct.
Okay, can I say something in favor of Family Search also?
Yes.
In my experience, because I'm dealing in old Catholic Church records, every input I make in Family Search or wherever I put it, I must see the original record or I won't put it in. And Family Search gets me to that original record a lot quicker, a lot easier, and a lot more of them than I can find on Ancestry. Ancestry will show you the index stuff really well, but when you want to go into the original record and view maybe hundreds of film strips or hundreds of to see that index record, I find it a lot better in Family Search than I do.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that.
And then also on censuses, I think Ancestry censuses are terrible because there's so many mistakes. Somebody that they've got translating doesn't know the difference between a HIA and a HEO, and I don't even know how to say it right, but one's a female and one's a male. And I find a lot of mistakes made because the Spanish uses an O for a female, no, O for a male, and an A on the name, like Juanita or Juanito or whatever. And I find a lot of mistakes on Ancestry, and that creates some uncomfort when you're trying to look up somebody that you think is a man, because the indexing records has said that he's a man, and in the end you find the reason you can't find him because you're looking for a man and it's a female. So,
Okay,
anyway,
so-
that's my experience with the two.
So does this tell us that we should not rely on just one or the other, but we should use them both? The experience that I had this week when I was looking up things for my daughter-in-law, in that particular case, Ancestry just had the indexed record, whereas when I looked at the original record on Family Search, I was able to find the witnesses to the marriage, and the witnesses to the marriage were a very important clue. They were the aunt and uncle that helped the young kids run across the state line to get married. And that was a very important clue, because there's their names right down in the witnesses lines, and the witnesses had not been indexed.
Well, the key to Family Tree is that we're putting the names in there, at least from our perspective, as members of the church, to get their work done. And so if we go into Ancestry and we find some children that we didn't know about, we can transfer those into Tree and have it set up so they can have their work done. That's the real difference, I think, from our perspective.
And since we can sync our information between Family Search and Ancestry, even to the point of temple work, that is a wonderful tool that Ancestry has added to help us. So I think we need to, as consultants, we need to practice and play with both sides so that we are able to help. We are able to help our patrons. Excuse me. We're able to help our patrons and accomplish those things that they need help with, because sometimes it's just, I was so slow to admit this, but we need to use both sides. You know, all through the years, as loyal as I wanted to be to the church and like Family Search, we have to use both if we really want to get the very most out of our research time. Something that I think I am not strong on at all is the Family Search Wiki, and Ancestry also has a wiki. Do any of you that have used the wiki a lot, would you take a minute and tell us about successes that you have had in using it?
I use a wiki so I can go in and find out the history of the area that I'm looking at. And it helps me understand why, like in Mexico, why I find a family living for a long time in southern Mexico, and all of a sudden they show up on the border in the next generation. But when you do the studies, you find out that that time that they left was the same time there was a major revolution against the Spaniards, and the Native Americans, the Native Americans were uprising, trying to kill all the Spaniards. And so many of the Spaniards got out of town and went north. So, but I always look up the history of the area that I'm researching to find out what that old history is, and what the languages were and things like that help me in my search.
Good.
And the wiki's a good place to start.
I think that they're real helpful for historical reasons too. If you have somebody in the Revolutionary War or Civil War, often Wiki will tell you, and a little bit about what their you know, what their role was. And so, and, you know, Pocahontas, there's just, those
Alice, are you talking about the Family Search Wiki or
Family Search one is the only one I've used. I haven't used Ancestry, but
okay,
then I have just gone to
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, yeah. So I've used both, and
I've used Wikipedia too.
And they're real helpful. You know, there's a historical figure or something, and they'll give you some historical information that is helpful.
I was watching a Roots Tech show lately where the presenter said that, in her view, about the first thing that you should do if you're researching a specific problem is look up the location of where that problem was in the wiki. And this is kind of what John was saying, and find out what are the records available and the history and situations about that particular location.
Yeah, I've learned more about the slave, you know, what role they took as slave owners. I've learned about battles that happened on their plantations. You know, those are the kinds of things that I think are really informative. And they also talk about, sometimes they talk about even wills, like who got what plantation and who got what slave and what, you know, all kinds of information from Wikipedia, from the Family Search Wiki that I thought was really helpful.
So I think from my view that's a site I haven't, a section of Family Search that I haven't gotten my money's worth out of. I just haven't used it enough to find it that valuable. So Alice, I'm glad you have, and you could share that with us.
Nancy, on the Family Search Wiki, you have topics for each state, such as beginning research, record types, the state's background and cultural groups, and local research resources like archives and libraries, which they're links that take you out of the Family Search. I find the Family Search very valuable.
Don't be, I'm gonna share my screen. And so I'm not being rude to turn off your picture, but I'm gonna share my screen so we can talk about that. I'm gonna try to share my screen. Is that what my screen looks like? That's what my screen looks like. I need to get it back to this. So, Helen, if I go to the Research Wiki,
yes,
and I'm want to look up the location, is it better to type it in or is it better to choose it on the map?
Just choose it on the map. Click on North America. And then go all the way down to United States.
Okay.
And then choose a state, whatever.
How about if I do Illinois?
Okay.
I'm trying to choose Illinois. Okay.
Yeah. On the right side, you have the topics.
Biography, cemetery, census, church records, colonial records, Bible records.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. And then this over here would tell me how to find the marriage records in Illinois. What are research strategies for Illinois? And so that would be a very good place to begin learning if I had never done research in Illinois before.
And especially on the right side under topics, you can click on guided research. Go further
I think I have to move my, maybe you can see it. I can only see my Zoom stuff. Guided research.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay, and then it's gonna walk me through questions to help me figure out how to search.
Yeah. If you're looking for birth information or marriage or death, you can click on the links.
And those are the beginning places you would look. And I'm
Yes.
thinking,
Yeah.
I already have my birth, marriage, and death, but I don't really have a death. I just know when he remarried. So probably, I know that his wife died a couple of years before
I'm
that.
looking for naturalization
It's in
in
there.
West Virginia. I rode off to
So, and then here it's going to give me classes I could take if I wanted to study that more. Which
Yeah,
reminds
that
us,
is
of course,
something
about Ruth's test. Yes, Helen?
This is something new that they've added. And so, like you said, you can learn more instead of teaching them how to get into Help Center like you were showing us. Right, it's just right there. And then also taking you to the historical records.
Well, I think then that the excellent researchers plus the excellent programmers are making our work ever so much easier.
Yeah, they're constantly updating.
This is
Helen's expertise from doing this for the last years is going to be a real strength to our Family History Center. We're
Nancy?
glad we're going to have you on board.
Nancy,
Yes.
that first screen you had up for Illinois, can you go back to that?
I'm not sure I can. Yeah, I think I can. Before this.
Yes, before that.
Okay,
There we
this
go.
one?
Under Illinois Research Tools, it lists Illinois archives and libraries.
Yes.
The Illinois State Library in Springfield, Illinois is terrific. My mother grew up in Wayne County, Illinois, and in the 1940s, the courthouse burned down, and that's where they kept all their records. And so the DAR in that county got busy, and they gathered all the Bible records. They encouraged people to go back into to the new county data centers and re-enter or report their family data. And they gathered they microfilmed all the newspapers. And so I was able to do several generations of research on my mother's family in one building in Springfield, the Illinois State Library.
Wow.
They have county histories and state histories and all kinds of things.
They might have
Nancy,
a copy of my lost.
Yeah, Nancy, go ahead and
book.
click on the archives and libraries. So, Sister Sparks, where did you look for that?
Under statewide, number 2. It's
under the state library?
Yeah, it's Illinois State Library.
So click on State Library. And there's the link, right? Illinois Digital Archives, or?
Oh, there's the one above that under, it says Internet, Illinois State Library. That's clickable.
So it took you out of Family Search and to the library's website.
Right. Well, of course, when I did my research there, I was living in Springfield, Illinois. So I did not do it on the web.
But I could look here and see, I could look at their library catalog. I have this situation in Illinois where all it says in all of the county histories and the county where my ancestor lives is the earlier history tells about the Wade and the Van Dyke families. But I can't find that earlier history. I should look in their library catalog and see if they have that earlier history. And they might have that for me.
That's a
Now,
good possibility, especially looking in county histories.
you see, these are the things that are harder for me to do that are second nature for our younger kids.
Yeah.
Our newly married families. They just know this so much easier. My husband just pointed out to me I'm overdue, that I've talked too long. So I think it's time for us to have our closing prayer. I hope that I have encouraged each of us that are consultants to get a little bit of an idea of maybe something we could practice with this next week or two. I hope that we all have a better understanding of how Ancestry and Family Search work together. And now it's time for a closing prayer. So Helen, would you please offer our closing prayer?
Sure. Our Father in heaven, we're thanking the Heavenly Father for this training that we have received to prepare us to get ready to serve Thee and at the Family History Center. We're thanking the Heavenly Father for the knowledge and skills that we have, and we ask You that we will use them to help those who come to the center to find their ancestors so they can get their names ready for our temple ordinance work. We're so thankful for all that which Thou hast blessed us with, and we pray that we will continue to be guided and directed in this work as part of the gathering of Israel. We're thankful for all that which Thou hast blessed us with, and pray that the Spirit will accompany us throughout the rest of this week. And we pray that we will prepare ourselves to serve Thee. And we say this in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you and welcome. Thank you, Richard, for your comments. Thanks to all of you for your others of you for your questions and your comments.
And thank you, Nancy, for teaching.
You bet.
So,
I told Diane that I would take over tonight if she was busy with her mother, and I forgot about our quick 5-minute quick topic. If anybody shows up for the 5-minute topic, I am not prepared. I don't even know what the topic is supposed to be tonight. Heather, are you there, or do any of the rest of you know what that topic is supposed to be?
Diane didn't tell me what
Okay, we'll wait. We'll wait and see if anybody.
But so far, no one else has shown up.
Yeah, if somebody new shows up, tell me, because I only can see 6 pictures at a time, so that we can talk. I think maybe we'll talk about making sure to use Ancestry.
Hey, all you temple workers, I have a question about the temple. I have an appointment on the 6th of July to do proxy initiatories. How many names can I take in the session that I will have there to go in?
I won't know that till the 18th. Angel, do you know that?
I don't know, because Ben gets to go back to the temple on Saturday, and they've asked him to be the initiatory coordinator guy, his shift coordinator guy.
Wonderful.
And so I asked him how many, and he did not know at this time.
Okay. And when is his first shift?
His first shift is this Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah,
okay.
Saturday at 5 p.m. is when he needs to show up to the temple.
Now, is that for membership at large, or is that for people who are receiving their own endowment?
That is membership for those who have already made an appointment. Membership at large that have made an appointment.
Starting this quickly. Wonderful.
Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So maybe we could, for the 5 minutes, just go on. I already signed up for an initiatory and also an endowment session.
Okay.
Yeah.
For which days?
July 14th, and then the Then I did a Saturday at 8 p.m. I was the last person. They're filling up fast. And then
yes,
you can only schedule one initiatory and one endowment. You can't schedule more than one appointment each time.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I got it on the 6th because I was on at 2 o'clock in the morning on, was it Friday? Yeah, I think Friday. And that's when it popped up and says, hey, your temple's open.
Yeah.
And that was the first I could get. So it went really quickly.
Good. I haven't tried yet.
Let's try it, Nancy.
Yeah, I need to. I guess I was just so delighted that I was called to, as a worker, to be there, that I concentrated on that.
Sign here.
It's gone now.
That's right.
There are short temple workers on nearly every ship. And so if you know someone who wants to be a temple worker, have them call their stake president.
Bishop. Start with the bishop.
Yeah, start with your bishop. Okay.
Yeah. I found an email Friday that we could now make appointments for temple work. And so Ed and I got on the computer and we've got our first appointment to do an endowment on July 18th.
Okay.
That was the earliest that they had that we could handle.
Well, Tuesday was available, Tuesday the 15th, but we've got a marriage sealing to do in Bonneville that day.
Okay.
So, and then on first week of July, we'll be in Montana. So.
Well, I will be in nearly all of July. I will be in Missouri, but I think I should tell my daughter to try to make me an appointment for the Kansas City Temple for while we're there.
Oh, good.
And Liberty Jail Visitor Center is open. So that is one of my favorite church history sites. So we'll be able to go to visit Liberty Jail while we're there. My son and daughter are here for the weekend and they are leaving. So I think I'm going to say goodbye. Should I say goodbye for everybody? Does anybody want to continue and visit?
We're done.
Alice wants to stay and visit. Well, I'm going to leave Charles on and I'm going to go say goodbye.
Wait a minute.
Oh, he wants to say goodbye too.
Goodbye.